Welcome to Full Fashion Finish Strong Friday. It's Masters Weekend, and I hope many of you as golfers are excited to watch. I know I am. And in spite of it being a tigerless weekend, I love watching people who are excellent at what they do. And for those of you that have ever tried the game of golf, you know how hard it is. So watching these guys is amazing. I've had the pleasure and the awesome privilege of being out in Augusta several times, and it's an amazingly beautiful place. Makes you proud to be a Georgian, my home state. There'll be another reference to Georgia here in a few moments, but here as we get into this last installment of the target and the tactics, I want to take us a little bit deeper based on all the math and all the projections and evaluating and evolving that we've talked about in the last 3 weeks, and kind of culminate it in what you need to do once you've established where you're headed, how you're going to get there, and the tactics within it. So let's get started this week. Now, as I've talked about each time and each week, do you have a target? And I know it's so fundamental, but a lot of people have not decided what their ultimate goal is. They're living the year in happenstance and circumstance and taking a chance, quite frankly. If you don't have a target, you don't know if you're going to hit it. And as Lawrence J. Peters says, if you don't know where you're going, you will probably end up somewhere else. So it really is important to have a goal, to have a target, and to establish it. So now if we think about hitting that target, there are two things, as we've talked about now in the last few weeks, that will determine if you hit your established targets. Number one, how good is your aim? Number two, how good is your weapon? And I know we've been drilling this down and going deeper and making it part of your daily lifestyle. If you've been going in on my daily sales crumbs, we've been delving into evaluating and evolving your metrics and deciding where you're successful, where you need to evolve things. But in this case, it's more about what you're doing fundamentally. And if you know that strategy is the aim and that your tactics are your weapon, then you begin to understand how to develop true tactical plans and approaches that will help you reach your objective. So then in a final bit of review here, we had talked about developing high-level strategy. And in doing so, we created tiers of strategy. It's not enough to simply say, I want to make $100,000. You've got to begin to outline what you're going to do to obtain that objective. And in this example, looking at $100,000 income, we know that our average client is going to be about $500 in commission. So that means we need, logically, 200 clients. No rocket science there. But then in the second tier of strategy, we begin to break out how we're going to achieve those 200 clients. We then decided that 50% of them or 100 of them are going to come from direct mail, that 30% were going to come from referral-based business, and another 20% from repeat business or taking a portfolio approach to each one of your clients and selling them appropriately other products. So these are our second tier strategies, and then we had to dive deeper. And we honed in on the direct mail strategy over the last few weeks and getting that 50% or those 100 clients. And again, just breaking down the math, and for your industry and for your business, it will be different. But the goal here is to begin to layer down your strategy until we enter into the tactical phase. So we've got $50,000 toward direct mail in terms of our objective of revenue. Average commission, $500. We need 100 clients. We assumed a 60% close rate. We would need 167 presentations. 40% appointment rate meant that we needed 418 qualified opportunities, which meant that as we expected a 1% direct mail response rate, we would need 41,800 pieces of mail to go out to a specific target audience. And as we talked about last week, and as we drilled in very deep, and I would recommend you go back and watch the last two of the target and the tactic so you can get a full rounded picture, this is where the tactical element started. So I won't recap those elements this week, but I definitely want to tell you that once you've established your objective, your strategy, and your tactics, what it will take in order for you to continue to be successful in them. First and foremost, those three things have to line up. Again, if you've got an objective and your strategies aren't aligned in such a way that they're even possible to meet, then you're off on the wrong foot. And then within your strategies, if the tactics you engage won't help you reach the strategies, which ultimately help you reach the objective, then you're going to be off target. Quick example, if you're looking to make $100,000 and you need 100 clients from direct mail, yet you're only willing to drop 21,000 pieces versus the 42 that we've just outlined, you're not going to get it. So you've got to make sure that there's congruency and that there's a linear nature to your objectives, your strategies, and your tactics. But then in closing this out, once you've begun to work tactically towards your strategy and your objectives, you've got to remain committed. You've got to remain committed to the law of large numbers. You've got to understand that direct mail, specifically in this example, or sales in general, is an exact science. Now, it's not exact if you don't engage the law of large numbers. If you say, Brandon, my closing rate is 40%, but you've only talked to 10 people, you've not engaged enough of the law of large numbers to be statistically relevant. If you tell me you've closed 40 out of 100 people, now I can begin to tell you your close rate is 40%. And then we need to begin tweaking the way you engage your clients, engage your prospective opportunities to raise that closing rate using that statistically relevant law of large numbers to begin equaling what might be an industry standard, say 60%. But until you actually trust that law of large numbers, it will be difficult to be successful. You've got to stay committed. You've also got to stay committed to the law of averages. Again, the science of selling. What you have to do there is understand that if I drop direct mail one time at 1,000 pieces and I don't get the 1% response rate, it's not over. As a matter of fact, until you've built into a statistically relevant group of law of large number clients, you're not reaching enough to reach the averages that you've assumed in your tactical projections. So what I'm telling you right now is that you've devised your strategy, you've built in your tactics, stick with it. Don't give up. I know a lot of people that said, well, I did 20 presets and I only closed 3. Order another 20. Keep doing it until you've got a law of large number to allow the law of averages to play in your favor or to help you diagnose where something needs to be evolved, as we'll talk about in a moment. But then there's the artful side that you've got to stay committed to, and that's your abilities. Even as we talk about your close rate, your fortitude, your perseverance, all of those are character-based elements that are not quantifiably objective. They're subjective. How you stick with something is about you. It's about your willpower. Yes, the subtlety and the idiosyncratic nature of your sales process, fancy words all to say your personality, how you engage your clients, how you build rapport. Those are the artful sides of sales. But you've got to stay committed to your abilities or the development of your abilities. And it immediately makes me think of another Georgia resident. Now, he's not a Georgia native. I believe he's originally from Alabama, but it's Hank Aaron. And as we celebrate the 40th anniversary of him hitting the 715th home run, and in a total career hitting more than that, I wanted to give you and use him as the law of large number, law of averages, and the belief in your abilities equation. Yes, I know that Barry Bonds is actually the home run king. I'm not a big baseball fan. I've met Hank Aaron on a couple of occasions. Certainly he wouldn't remember me, but I remember him. I always remember and take note of excellence. But let's take a look at his statistics. He had 12,364 at-bats. His hitting average was less than 1 out of 3, 0.305. His number of home runs, 755. His home run average, 0.061. That means in the theory of things that he actually failed more times than he succeeded, but he still goes down as one of the greatest in history. What I'm telling you is if you trust the law of large numbers, get at bat, swing at the fences. If you trust the law of averages, you're going to miss your fair share, but you're also going to hit your fair share. And then if you trust your abilities over the long haul, like Hank Aaron did over a 23-year career, you will find yourself achieving your objectives and feeling good about yourself and about 2014 as your best year ever. And then there's one more thing that I want to remind you to do as you stay committed and as you stay focused. But it's to evaluate all of your results, evolve those that need to be changed, those that are doing well, expand them, and certainly those that begin to gain real traction, make them as scalable as possible and explode them for higher levels of success. So when we begin thinking about what you've got to do tactically, it's about being committed and it's about being focused. But then, and I know I said finally a moment ago, but this is finally, I need you to begin to celebrate. And let me tell you, and at least admit this, I've not always been good at celebrating my success. I am one of those that always sets a target, always driven to achieve it, always playing fair, but at the same time wanting to be competitive and do better than the person next to me, but being gracious in success, but also being gracious in quote unquote defeat. But I want you to begin to celebrate. I want you to begin to celebrate each obstacle you overcome. Did you just drop your first 1,000-piece direct mail campaign? Celebrate that, regardless of the results. Did you just actually close your first 60% based on getting 10 opportunities? Celebrate. Celebrate each victory. Celebrate each milestone. And in a happy Friday environment, as my wife and I do a lot, we go out to our favorite Mexican restaurant and we enjoy chips and dip, and she enjoys a margarita. And of course, the reality is we're enjoying life. We're enjoying and looking back on a week. We express with each other what happened in that week. And actually, by way of this, I want to wish her and me a happy 27th anniversary. Yes, I've been married 27 years. It feels like only a day. I married the woman of my dreams, and I am a very lucky and blessed man. And as I tell you to celebrate, I too am celebrating today. But certainly I want you to remain focused to your target, to your tactics, and know that great success lies on the other side of your perseverance and sticking with it. So until next week, this is Brandon Clay, wishing you money, power, success.